Hey Elite Gamers, this is Brandon from Top10Gamer.com coming at you with a $200 gaming PC build. That's right, $200. And if that's too much for you, go check out our $150 gaming PC as you can see above. This week we are redoing all of our PC builds on the website for the 2015 heading into 2016 year, and really doing so at a rapid rate so that you can build whatever you want to this month when there are so many rebates and so many good deals. So stick around for this video or check out the other videos above, and we'll go through each part as we do so that you can understand exactly what you should be looking for in your gaming PC. Gamers gotta game. No matter what they have to do, they gotta get their game on. And you know, when I was a kid, I had an old Packard Bell Navigator, and you know, we tweaked this thing out to play Master of Orion, and that was one of my favorite games growing up. And you know what? We did whatever we could to play games. That's the point of this cheap and good series where we talk about the $150, $200, and $300 gaming PCs. It's that, you know what? Not everybody needs to play Battlefield 4 at 4K at 144 hertz. If that's you, that's great if you've got the money for it. But you know what? A lot of people don't, and they still want to game. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. It's fine to, first of all, game in 720p and also game in 1080p. So you could do whatever you want in low settings, and you don't have to play everything at max. But luckily, at this price point, if you're trying to play a lot of the modern titles like the MOBAs of the world, the Hearthstones of the world, the Minecrafts of the world, you can absolutely do so on this $200 budget and even do so in 1080p. First things first, we need to dive right into this build and discuss what I think is the most crucial part of it, and that is the CPU or APU that I'm gonna be recommending with this. Guys, I'm serious. No, serious. An APU. Seriously, an APU at this price range that does a pretty good job. And now I know that APUs haven't been heavily used in the past, but I think for for micro ATX PCs and for inexpensive options, they are still very good in that $40 to $60 price range. Anything above that, I'm going to question. But we're going to jump right into what I'm considering here. And really your two options, as I see it, are the A6 7400K for around $60 or the Pentium G3258 for around $70. Now, you might be thinking, hey, the G3258, that's not an APU. What are you talking about there? Well, the G3258 still has integrated graphics. It still has single-threaded performance that's much better than what you're going to get on this APU. You're going to get a better performing CPU. So we have to take it into consideration. Now, is it going to perform better without a graphics card, without a dedicated graphics card? No, it's not. But you know what? It still has pretty solid performance, and you can build from there as well. You know, if you've got this $200 PC, you're using the G3258, then a year down the road, you might be thinking, okay, I'm going to pick up a maybe a 750 Ti or whatever's on sale, maybe a 360X, and I'm going to run it in this PC, and I'm going to improve my graphical performance. Whereas if you get the A6 7400K, you already have an APU, you have a slower processor, and you might not feel like adding, an additional graphics card into that type of PC. The key to getting the most performance out of your PC for the money that you can spend is doing your research beforehand, and really that's what I'm trying to do here. When I put together these PC builds every few months and bring them for you, I try to do my research beforehand so that we can at least have an open discussion. I'm not going to say that I'm right every single time. I'd like to say that I am, but I just want to present the research that I've done in front of you, some of the best web pages that I've seen, so that you can look at this yourself. And for this, we're going to take a look at Anandtech's review here of the A6 7400K, which also holds some G3258 benchmarks as well, so you can kind of decide which direction you want to go. So here we are in alien isolation, as you can see, in 720p. The great thing about this article is it's presenting the three things, and Anandtech does a great job of this, presenting the three benchmarks that you really need here. First, we have 720p in ultra settings. You can see the A6 7400K gets 24 frames a second, while the G3258 only gets about 14 and a half. So clearly the winner here is the A6 7400K, but if you step up and you throw in a dedicated graphics card, so if you ever plan to add a graphics card down the line, you have to weigh whether you want that performance kind of now or later. That's what kind of situation we're getting into here. So in 720p with the R7 240, you have around 30 frames for the A6 7400K and 30 frames for the G3258. This means that the CPU isn't the bottlenecking feature here. So that's why we're pretty much getting the same performance. But when we go down here and we look at alien isolation with an R9 285, you look at the G3258, which holds its own against the i5 4690 here, getting about 83 frames a second, and the A6 7400K down here at 64 frames, clearly bottlenecking the graphics card. So if you're planning on getting a really cheap graphics card, obviously that's a bit different than going with something like the R9 285 as well. So that's what you're going to want to remember when you're looking at APUs versus CPUs is, hey, do I plan to add a graphics card down the line? Is that graphics card going to be a relatively inexpensive one or a very expensive one? You know, for the more expensive graphics cards, you're definitely going to want that G3258. That faster single-threaded performance is going to be less of a bottleneck with that better GPU. But just moving on, another example here, Total War. As you can see, the G3258 down here at 14.5 frames, while the A6 7400K is up here at 24. And then when we move on to a dedicated graphics card, kind of the same story, about 30 frames with a 3258. The A6 7400K bottlenecks a little bit here in this game, not in every game. Sometimes it's a big bottleneck, sometimes it's not a bottleneck at all. Here at 28 frames. And down at the R9 285, when we are running at 1080p on Ultra, as you can see, it's a much bigger deal to have the faster G3258. So one last example for this this combo, just looking at the G3258 in Grand Theft Auto 5 and the A6 7400K, you'll notice that even on integrated graphics on a CPU-intensive game, that the G3258 can perform nearly as well. So clearly down here, the R7 when you add in an R7 240, in that case, the G3258, it's nearly double the frames. So for $10 more, you get a faster single-threaded performance processor that in some cases is going to be nearly as good. So it's going to be really up to you what you want the most. But as you can see, moving on to the R9 285 again, the A6 7400K is pretty much just going to continue getting beaten heavily by a processor that's just cost around $10 more. So my recommendation moving forward is that if you're just going to keep this PC build, this micro ATX PC build as is, that the A6 7400K makes a lot of sense, which is why I've put it into this build. But if you're going to move forward and you're going to buy a graphics card over that $150 price range, like maybe a 950 or a 370 or something like that, you're really going to want that G3258 and just maybe suck up the performance right now so that you can have better performance in the long run. Okay, so that's the bulk of the build. It really is. I mean, we've already pretty much talked about our graphics card and our processor, which are our two main things when it comes to performance. But I want to run through the rest of the parts very quickly. First of all, SuperBiz has the A6 7400 for $57.99, so it's the cheapest place to get it this month. I'm going to put all these links in the description below, also a link to the article. Help us out by going and using those links. It allows us to buy new computer parts throughout the year. Sometimes we do official computer builds and put those in front of you. And when we do that, we try to buy our own parts so we don't have to use sponsors. So you can help us out a lot by doing that. I think that this is $64.99 on Amazon.com, so you can also get it there as well. Pretty reasonable deal. For motherboard, $32.99 for the MSI A68HM-E33. Really just a functioning motherboard with decent quality here. When you're on a $200 budget, that's kind of what you have to go with. Luckily, it's MSI here and on a motherboard that I don't mind too much, that can certainly utilize the RAM that we're going to use. Speaking of RAM, you want to go with the dual channel memory configuration. It's going to greatly affect your performance if you don't. And for that, you can use this ADATA RAM that I found from Newegg for $34.99 for 8 gigs. Pretty good. Just about $10 more than that 2x2 configuration that we used on that $150 build. Now for hard drive, this is actually going to set you over by $10 if you go with the 500 gigabyte version. If you go with the 250 gigabyte version, you can get one for $25 and you're right at, this build comes in right at $200. So keep that in mind, but I'm still going to recommend that you double your capacity for just about 40% more price. So seems like it's well worth it, and that's why I recommend it. For case, the Thermaltake Versa H21, $24.99 after $20 rebate on Newegg. But really, all of this doesn't matter. What I'm basically saying here is you have 25 bucks. Go find a case that you like. We're not going to get too big into cases, but if you can find something like this. Now, this is a mid-tower. It doesn't go along with the whole micro ATX thing, but you do get a couple of fans and a few more features when you're able to get a good deal like this, where the rebate is almost as much as the cost of the case. As you can see, this same case is $50 on Amazon. Just shows you how much you're saving by using that rebate card on Newegg. Moving forward, we have our inexpensive power supply, our 80 plus certified power supply I talked about, and the $150 build. Why I think it's important to be energy conscious, especially if you live overseas. Here in the States, 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So relatively inexpensive. Maybe it doesn't make that big of a difference on your energy bill, but either way, you get a 430 watt power supply for 25 bucks. It's reasonably good quality. I'm not going to put it on any of my tier 1, 2, or 3 lists, but I think this thing comes with at least a 1-year warranty, if not a 3-year. Let's check it out. Yeah, 3-year parts and labor. So you ever have a problem with it, you can return it. And I really don't think it's going to do anything like blow up your components like some of those other power supplies that I've seen out there. All right, before I go, I wanted to point out one thing that's on the website. I'll put a link in the description below so you can go check it out. It's a link to a page that actually has all of my builds laid out, as you can see, from $150 to $2,500. And this page stays updated more than these YouTube videos. So if you're ever building, you ever come here, you see this video, you listen to me talking for a while, then you get to the end of this video and think, hey, is this even up-to-date information? Well, you can go check out this to see if I have changed anything. Hope you guys are having a great day. Be sure to stick around for all of our other PC builds this week. I also have a tablet I've been given, as well as these headphones that we have to review in the next few days. So stick around. Again, go see the links in the description below if you want to help us out. Sure appreciate that. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.